All right, a blessed and wonderful morning, everyone. Today is the 6th of April, 2021, and hashtag Team LRC is back for the fourth session of our webinar series entitled GKPB Mag-Online Learning, a webinar series on how to take online learning to the next level. Sa ating mga early birds at sa mga maagang tumutok sa ating Facebook Live, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Let us know kung saan po kayo nanonood ngayon. I-comment niyo po yan sa ating Facebook, sa ating comment section para po ma-shoutout natin later. Alright? Guys, nasa pang-apat na po tayo na session ha. Sige nga, sino po sa inyo or sa ating mga viewers ang ever present po mula sa ating mga sessions noong March? Taas nga po ang kamay. Sige nga, taas ang kamay ng mga ever present. Ayan, good morning kila Casey Katbaga ng ating mga early birds, sila Carmela de los Reyes, Trixie Fuentes. Good morning sa inyong lahat. Ayan, congratulations sa lahat ng mga perfect attendance sa ating mga sessions. Congratulations sa inyong lahat. For sure, you have learned a lot from our speakers as much as we did. So, madami kayong natutunan dyan at nawa magamit niyo yan sa inyong mga online learning. So last March 22 was our session with Sir Linus on public speaking. March 24, we had our session 2 on dressing up for success with Sir Basil. And then on March 27 was for our session 3 on how to write an impressive resume and how to ace your job or internship interview with Sir Brian. Hopefully, all of those learnings, from those learnings, we could all indeed level up our online learning experience. All right? Wala pa po ba? Or kung wala pa po dito ang inyong mga kaklase, kaibigan at mga katrabaho, itag na po natin sila dito sa ating FB Live. I-share nyo rin po ang ating video para sama-sama po ulit tayong matuto sa umagang ito. I hope on board na po tayong lahat. Time check po, it's 10:04 in the morning. Welcome to GKPB Mag-Online Learning, a webinar series on how to take online learning to the next level. So last March nga po, we are done with the 3 sessions with the theme Prepping Up for Success. Those topics were public speaking, power dressing, resume writing, and acing job or internship interview. Now this week, this April, we begin with the 3 sessions for the leveling up your design skills. As of this morning, we already have a total of 6,208 registered participants. And today nga po is our 4th session under that theme entitled Create and Inspire. Learn the basics of graphic design. I am Cheryl Hermosa Ebron, University Extension Associate and Training Coordinator of UPLB Learning Resource Center. Yours truly po will be our sessions moderator. Just a few friendly reminders for our webinar. First, please keep your comments helpful and considerate to the speaker, moderator, and to your fellow participants at all times. Second, if you have questions, feel free to write them down below our comment section and make sure that they are relevant to the topic for this morning. Last and most importantly, please do not forget to answer the evaluation form after the webinar. Our team will deeply appreciate both your comments and suggestions. Please also be reminded that the deadline of submission of responses will be until 5 p.m. today. So 5 in the afternoon because our next session is immediately tomorrow morning. So sa mga hindi po makakapanood sa ating session ng live, wag po kayong mag-alala. Hindi po kayo nakakalimutan namin. Mapapanood ninyo ang ating webinar series sa aming Facebook page. Hanapin nyo lamang po ang UPLB Learning Resource Center. Patuloy pa rin po ang paglago ng ating online social community. Sa ngayon po, meron na tayong close to 67,000 strong followers. Muli po, maraming salamat sa inyong tiwala at suporta. Kayo po ang aming inspirasyon at nawa po ay patuloy namin kayong matulungan o patuloy po tayong magtulungan at patuloy na suportahan ng bawat isa dahil sabi nga po, we are always better together and together we can achieve academic excellence. Sa mga naka-mobile data po, pwede rin nyo po kaming mapanood or ang ating replay ng ating mga sessions sa aming YouTube channel. I-search na lamang po ang UPLB Learning Resource Center on YouTube. And just the same po, we are still growing strong. Tayo po ay meron ng 1,780 subscribers. So keep it coming po. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe. We have a number of learning materials and resources po doon sa ating YouTube channel. Pwede nyo po yung i-share sa inyong mga friends na katulad nyo din pong gustong matuto. Huwag din pong kalimutang i-click ang notification bell para lagi po tayong updated sa ating mga videos. Please also follow us on Instagram and Twitter accounts. At para po mas mabilis nating makita yung lahat ng ating mga videos and resources sa ating webinar series, please use this hashtag. Our official hashtag po ay hashtag GKPB Online Learning or GKPB Online Learning. Alright, before going to the main part of our session, ayan, let's have a short energizer. Sa mga palagi pong uma-attend ng ating webinar, again, alam nyo na po ang gagawin, you know the drill, and you know what to do. At sa mga ngayon lamang po susubok sa platform na ito, napakadali lamang naman po first open a new browser or a new window and then go to www.menti.com and then use the key code that you're seeing on your screen which is 8824-93033. You can also scan the QR code na nakikita nyo po dyan sa ating screen para po sa mas mabilis na paraan at direkta na po kayo makakapunta sa ating site for the Mentimeter. Alright, let me also post the link sa ating comment section box para po dun sa mga ngayon pa lamang pong susubok nito ay makapunta sila agad doon. Alright, now let me share my screen so we could all see the live results of our Mentimeter. Allow me to share my screen para lahat tayo ma-amaze sa results ng Mentimeter. Okay, the question for this morning's Energizer is, if you were a caller, what color would you be? So there are how many choices? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So first we have red, second is yellow, third is blue, fourth is white, and the last is black. So alin ka kaya dyan? If you will be a caller, what color would you be? Anong kulay ka? Di ba? Red ba? Yellow ba? Blue ba? White ba? Or black? Pwede rin nakaangkla sa emotion natin, kung ano yung emotions natin today. How are you feeling today? So, describe yourself using that color, no? Okay. So far, I'm seeing here on our screen, meron ng 128 na sumasagot. So, sige nga, keep them coming. Yung mga sasagot pa, paabutin kaya natin siguro try natin kung ito ay mag-200 or 300 probably. Okay. This is our question for this morning kasi nga ang ating topic is graphic design, di ba? Basics of graphic design. Let's see later or pakinggan natin later sa ating speaker kung meron bang mga meanings ang mga colors na yan. Saan ba ginagamit yan for graphic design? Are there meanings attached to them? Okay? So, ayan. Hopefully, after our session, you'll be better equipped with the knowledge on those colors, ano yung mga elements na gagamitin natin sa ating graphic designs. And makikita natin sa ating screen, marami sa inyo ang blue. Wow, ano ba ang nagre-represent ng blue? Peace and calm ba yan? Oh, di ba? Blue represents ocean, di ba? Ako siguro baka white. White muna ngayon. Pero usually yellow. Pero for now, white. Oh, di ba? After blue, meron namang black. And then third ay yellow. And then red and then white. All right. We already have 280 people who answered the activity or the energizer this morning. Thank you very much for participating sa ating activity. Sana energized na tayo at handa nang makinig sa ating session for this morning. Okay, Ang tanong, G ka pa ba? Ready na ba? Ready na ba tayo na makinig muli at matuto ng bago sa umagang ito? If G ka na, tara na. Simulan na natin ang ating session na ito. We are very happy and proud to introduce to you our speaker this morning, our Lodi, our inspiration, our mentor in graphic design and photography. Our speaker is also a UPLB alumni. He is a graduate of BS Development Communication here in UPLB. He is a very passionate in fashion photography, among others. He specializes in digital content marketing, design, photo, video production, project management, and writing in the fields of academe, government, non-government, and creative industry. Currently, he is the sales and digital marketing manager at LV Commons. He also worked as a sales and marketing associate at Chapters, Mayad Creatives Incorporated. Through his help, he was able to increase the following of chapters from 3,000 to 10,000 through social media digital content management, and increase sales leads and inquiries from various digital marketing campaigns. Previously, he worked as the University Research Associate at the Learning Resource Center, also worked on research studies and headed the multimedia production of the center. But forever he is a part of LRC family. To share with us how to create and inspire through graphic design, dear friends, let us please welcome in the Zoom space Mr. Lawrence Gill D. Salgado. Gill, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Kayo po dyan, kamusta po kayo?
Okay naman. It's been a long time, no? Kasi nag-ECQ.
Yes, been a
Kaya
long time.
hindi tayo
1 year
masyado
anniversary of ECQ already.
Oo nga. Pero again, we are always at LB Commons po pagka kailangan namin ng tulong ni Hill. And we thank him for opening his doors sa team namin. And of course, especially for saying yes to Team LRC's request to be our speaker this morning. So
Alright.
I'm sure madaming matututunan sa iyo ang ating participants, kids. So please take it away.
Alright. Hopefully, no, marami silang matutunan. Thank you so much to my previous colleague, Ate Cheryl Ebron. I like to call her Ate, not Miss, kasi she served as my ate back in LRC. And to Team LRC as well, I would like to thank everyone for inviting me and giving me the opportunity and the chance to talk again and serve again the center. So it's been a while. I've been away for, I think, almost 2 years. No, pumunta ako sa Manila and nag-pursue ako ng dreams ko, ng passion ko. And now, I'm back in LD and currently in our cafe, which is called the LD Commons. Yan. So, let me share my screen with you all. Ayan. Para naman dun sa mga audience natin, I would also like to greet you all. Good morning, happy morning to all. And I re-admire everyone who's here today and participating us today, despite what we're going through right now, despite the pandemic. I know that lahat tayo may hardships tayo, may pinagdadaanan tayong lahat. But you guys, I admire your dedication to still learn and grow despite what we're going through. All right. So going on to our topic, it will be a 3-day training or webinar about visual communication. Here, I'm going to teach you all about how to communicate your message effectively and creatively through 3 steps. Number 1 is graphic design. Second is photography. And third is photo editing. Previously, I've been conducting this training to other students, mainly students here in UPLB. Pero yung third ko was video editing. But for now, let's do photo editing kasi I think Photoshop is more accessible to all and it will be easier for everyone to learn photo editing rather than video editing kasi mas tedious yun eh. So let's go now to our topic at hand, which is graphic design. But before that, I would like to briefly introduce myself again. So, ayan, ako yan, di ba? Ang saya-saya ko. Sana masaya din kayong lahat ngayon sa buhay ninyo. So, my name is Gill Salgado. You can call me Gill, but my full name is Lawrence Salgado. That's my logo. And ipa-plug ko na lang din. You can follow me on Instagram at Gill Salgado, and then there you can see my photographs. And also, I'm currently, as Ate Cheryl Ebron mentioned, I'm the digital marketing content specialist of LB Commons. And LB, if you guys don't know what LB Commons is, LB Commons is a cafe in UPLB near the UPLB gate. And we serve mainly students and working professionals. So if after the pandemic, and hopefully sana matapos na yung pandemic, makaroon na ng mass testing and all. And if you guys have the chance to go here in UPLB, I hope you guys will also go here in LB Commons. Ayan. All right. So as I mentioned before, lesson 1 will be about graphic design. Lesson 2 will be about photography. And lesson 3 will be about photo editing. So for this session, my goal is this, and I hope this is your goal as well, to turn you all into an effective and more confident visual storytellers through graphic design. Okay ba yon? I hope na ganun din yung thinking nyo going into this webinar para by the end of it, you guys will be more confident and more effective in translating your ideas in a visual way. Alright. So, ano ba yung matututunan natin sa umaga ngayon? So, firstly is, I will teach you about the 6 elements of design. As Ate Cheryl mentioned before then, no? I'm going to bring you all back to the basics or the foundation of graphic design. Kasi some of us barge into designing or start designing without the foundations. And sometimes, yun yung nagiging reason or nagiging hindrance kung bakit parang feeling natin mali yung ginagawa natin or hindi tama yung mga elements na nilalagay natin and the combinations that we put into it, mainly because some people do not know the foundations and basics of graphic design. So here, I'm going to teach you the 6 elements of design, followed by the 5 principles of design, and then different typefaces or fonts, and what are the good combinations of fonts that we can use, and also be familiar with the rules of composition in graphic design. Okay, and before I proceed, I would also like to treat this as a class, no? Hindi ako instructor or professor or teacher, but I think if I will be, I will handle it this way. So, gusto ko kasi may mga surprises, ganyan. So, I like pop quizzes. So, I hope share kayo ng answers ninyo through the comment section below. Okay? So, yung pop quizzes natin, either related siya sa design. Well, surely it's related to design, but it's more trivial naman. So, everyone is free to answer and share their answer on the comment section below. And so, all throughout the lesson, magkakaroon tayo ng mga surprise pop quizzes na pwede niyong sagutan. Easy lang naman siya. So, let's go with the first one. Ito din pala, since online tayo ngayon, I hope nobody searches for the answer, ha? Wild guesses na lang yung gawin natin. If we don't know the answer, okay lang yung mag-wild guess tayo. Alright, so for the first question, what is the nationality of the first logo designers? Americans ba to? Europeans? Might be Filipinos, pwede naman. Alright, so na-type na ba yung answers? Alright, so the answer to this question is Egyptians, mainly because of the hieroglyphs. Kasi nung 13th century, well, all of the art, not all naman, pero most of the art references refer to Egyptians as the first logo designers because yun yung binabrand nila yung domestic animals nila as their own or for their ownership through hieroglyphs. Okay. Now let's go to the topic at hand, which is graphic design. So before going into how to design, we must know first what graphic design is. So here I compiled some of the definitions of graphic design that we can use to give you foundations lang. So graphic design, according to Sean Adams, is is the combining of words, shapes, form, and color to communicate idea. So notice here that I naka-bold yung combining words, shapes, forms, color to communicate an idea. So the keywords here are combining elements so that you can communicate your idea. But according to the American Institute of Graphic Arts, or AIGA, it is the art and practice of planning and projecting ideas and experiences with visual and textual content. So in this one, pinakita nila yung importance of planning and projecting ideas. So it's not just the combining of words, text, and other elements. Kasi you should have a plan. And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, di ba? So, combining these two, I made my own definition. Taray, di ba? By Hill Salgado. So, this one, hopefully, ma-condense ko yung meaning ng graphic design into my own words. So, my own definition of graphic design is communicating ideas effectively through visuals and text. Ganun lang siyang kadali. And I also emphasize here the word effectively because there's no use in communicating your idea through visuals and text kung hindi siya maiintindihan ng ibang tao. So your first goal in communicating your idea through graphic design is for it to be effective. Dapat maintindihan yan ng audiences ninyo. Alright? Okay. Another pop quiz. So the word graphic came from the root word blank, which means drawn or written. Sige, magbibigay ako ng clue. The word is Greek. Okay, so the answer to this is graphicos, di ba? It's good to know that graphic design, may root word pala siya and originated from these pala yung ano niya, root word niya, which is graphicos. Okay, so going on to our first topic, which is the elements of graphic design. Ito, disclaimer lang, siguro magmumukhang babalik tayo sa pagkabata, ano, because I'm going to teach you the 6 elements of graphic design, which are line, shapes, form, ganyan. But these things are very important for you to learn. So let's start. Okay, so first one is line. A line is a continuous mark made on a surface by a moving point or simply a point in motion. I think I don't have to expand further kasi alam naman ng mga tao kung ano yung line. And yung functions ng line in graphic design is it helps direct the eyes. All right? And then here it creates also emphasis on your design as well as gives sense of movement to your design. And lastly is it organizes elements. Okay, so we have different types of lines. Ito, ano kaya line to? This one is horizontal line. The next one is vertical line. This one is diagonal. This one is zigzag. And then we have curved. And then we have the free form. All right. So I'm gonna show you some examples of how lines are used in designing. Ayan. So here, nilid yung lines dun sa title, which emphasized the title. Here, lines were used as illustration talaga na magiging focus ng design. And here, if you can notice, may lines doon sa may ibaba that separates or divides yung mga information. Okay, so next one is shape. A shape is an enclosed space defined by a line or by contrast to its surroundings. So shape is very two-dimensional, length and width lang yan. And what shape does is it helps the designers to separate and connect information in a visually appealing and organized manner. And also, it helps in expressing different points and areas of interest. So pwedeng gumamit ka ng rectangle shape to convey another idea and then use a circle adjacent to it to convey another idea. Pero yun. And then, shape also symbolizes or represents a concept. So for example, mga logos, ganon. So we have different types of shapes as well. We have geometric. Kapag geometric, it can be described by mathematical terms. So from the word itself, geometric, di ba yung mga inaaral natin sa geometry, shapes, and angles. So very, ano siya, pointed or very accurate, mga ganon. And precise, ganon. The next one is organic. Difficult to describe, unlike the geometric one, kasi organic is more of the freehand or freestyle kind of shapes. And when we say organic kasi, usually these are found in nature. All right. And then we have abstract. So for the abstract naman, uh, it's kind of like the organic. Actually, ano siya, combination siya ng geometric and organic. Pero what differentiates of abstract is uh, with organic kasi, di ba, nature to. Itong abstract naman, pwedeng hindi siya found in nature. So for example, a camera or something man-made, ganyan. Usually, they have recognizable form, pero syempre, hindi sila real. So para silang icons lang, ganon. So for example, noon ay logos, icons, and symbols. Okay. So, meron lang tayong onting quiz about icons. Ayan. So, guess the logo. Comment down below kung alam nyo kung ano yung logo nitong brand na to. I think for millennials and Gen Zs, madali lang tong sagutin. And for the boomers, I hope na kung hindi nyo to alam, it's fun to search these brands and know what they do. Okay? So, for the first one, it's Spotify. Yan, tama kayo. And then, guess the logo. This one, ano kaya to? It's red. May points. Usually, nakikita ko to sa Manila. Alright. This one is HSBC. Bangko po ito. Ayan. And then the next one, ito. Nakikita natin to sa daan. Very popular. Pwede rin na nakita siya sa shores. Well, yun yung name ng company nila. Okay, the answer is Shell. Very good. Okay, si Elaine Balbedina, nakuha ng tama yung HSBC. Congratulations and job well done. Okay. Ito, ano kaya to? Ito yung ginagamit kong laptop ngayon. And very popular to. Okay. Flu. Ano to? Company to ni Steve Jobs. Okay. This one is Apple. Yan. Na may kagat. Ito, next one. Nag-update sila recently. Ayan, Crisanta Jorpe. Tama ka. That's Apple. Okay, guess the logo. This one. Nag-update sila ng logo nila. Recently, hindi ganito yung logo nila, but they updated to this. And I think this one is very simple and classy. And ano ba, striking siya for me. Later, I will discuss why this logo is striking to me. Okay, huwag po tayo magsa-search ha. And the right answer is MasterCard. Okay. So if you guys have mga debit cards or credit cards, recently nag-update yung MasterCard ng logo nila, which is 2 circles na lang. Okay? Pa kami yung nag-answer, BDO or Land Bank. Hindi po, MasterCard po yan. Okay, so let's proceed now to the lesson ulit. Here are some examples of using shapes in graphic design. So here, shapes are used as the main focal point of the design. And then here naman, the photo on the left shapes to create another form. So for example, animals, ganyan. And then on the second or on the right one, if you notice, there's a white rectangle box there. So what it did is to isolate the text from the background, which is very visual. So it created a space for the text na mababasa siya. All right. Now we go to form. What is form? Form is a three-dimensional aspect of object that take up space. It is defined by volume of space. So dito naman sa form, yung three dimensions na minimension ko dito are length and width, and now we also factor in the depth. So malaki yung factor ng lights and shadows sa form kasi what form does is it makes things lifelike. So nagkakaroon sila ng shadows and lighting, mga ganon. So we have two types as well since yung form ay galing naman sa space na binigyan lang natin ng another dimension. Yung types niya din ay organic and geometric. Alright. So as I mentioned before, ito, length, width, and depth. So for the types, we have geometric and organic. So these are the samples that I will show you of form. Ayan. So kung makikita niyo, nakikita niyo yung relative height, relative length, relative depth of an object from a surface, ganyan. So eto, makikita niyo yung examples natin, may shadows or may light, gano'n. Okay, next up is space. It is the distance around or the area between design or elements. But space, it can also create illusions especially in graphic design na digital kasi two-dimensional art lang naman sila although we have form. But if you use it, if you have elements na two-dimensional lang using shapes, it can create yung illusion. So for example, this one, the space that is filled up by the object itself is called a positive space. But if we take that out, so kung makikita natin yung space around it, the white, if in-invert natin yun, ito na siya, which is the black one. So, ang tawag naman dito is negative space. And now, yung space na nasa, na hindi ino-occupy nung cup or goblet, it looks like what? What does it look like? Tama. Dalawang lalaki na matangos. Na matangos na kalbo. Na kalbo, no? Matangos na kalbo at nakatingin sa isa't isa. Okay. So for example, using negative space, we have the poster of Black Swan, for example. Diba? And then the Count of Monte Cristo, there's a chess piece, and then a person, and also, ito, Snow White. Parang yung goblet lang, no? Okay, next one is color. Color is the visible spectrum of radiation reflected from an object. Oh, masyado tong technical term, no? Pero iaano natin to. Padadaliin natin to later. There are three properties of color. So yung first property is hue. Ano nga ba yung hue? Kapag sinabing hue, ito yung dominant color dun sa wavelength ng color wheel. So for example, may nakita tayo na something green. We tell that it is green, pero we're not really sure kung blue-green ba siya, light-green ba siya, depending on the light or shade. Pero we refer to it as green kasi on the purest form, talagang green siya. Yun yung first na makikita ng mata natin. Alright? Ayan. May mga nagsasabi na I love you daw. Magandang iba natin sa mga sa mga loved ones natin na I love you. Ayan. Next one is chroma. So Chroma naman is the saturation or intensity of a color. So, kung meron tayo, di ba, sa phone natin, kapag nag-edit tayo ng pictures, may saturation or vibrance. So, yun yung tinatawag na chroma. Another property of color. And then the next one is value. So when we talk about value naman, ito naman yung lightness or darkness of a color. So when we put black to a color or hue, we call it shade. Kapag naman we put white in a color or hue, that is what we call tint. Okay? Yan. May mga nagsasabi daw ng I love you, sir. Sige, mahal ko din kayo dahil kayo ay umattend ng aking seminar. So hello kay Hanifa. Hanifa, hello. Okay, so we have three types of colors. Combination of colors and types of colors. So number one is the primary color, which are the red, blue, and yellow. May mga special mentions ako nakikita dito na Levy daw. Hi Levy, Levy wants a crowmance. Ang galing naman, napakawiti ng mga tao crowmance with you. Okay? Oh, guys, focus tayo. Huwag tayo masyadong pa-distract, okay? So again, first is primary. So ang mga primary colors parang bata, red, blue, and yellow. For the secondary naman, what we get from secondary is mixing primary colors together. So for example, blue and yellow, we have green, yellow and red, we have orange. Although hindi masyadong kita yung orange dito sa presentation ko, I apologize for that. And then red and blue makes purple naman. And then we have intermediate naman. It is mixing primary and secondary colors together. So for example, it's green and yellow, we produce yellow-green. And then yellow and orange, we produce yellow-orange. Ganon. And then sa graphic design, big factor yung tinatawag natin na warm tones and then cool tones. Kasi it separates those warm and it separates those cools kasi very different yung nagiging effect nito sa mata ng mga tao. There's a psychology behind it, but I'm not a psychologist and I don't know the psychology behind colors, pero that's how our eyes and brains process colors. So for example, etong nasa left side, these are what? Warm or cool colors? These are warm colors. So usually, kapag warm colors, for example, ito, these are designs that use warm colors. Ano yung nafe-feel nyo kapag nakikita nyo yung design na to? Di ba I told you guys na yung MasterCard na logo, it's very striking to me because yung warm colors, they are strong, they are bold, striking, and they seek attention. So every time na makakita tayo ng warm colors, it seeks our attention talaga. So yung MasterCard, very wise and creative sila sa paggamit ng colors na red and yellow and they combine it together para talaga maka-attract ng tao. No? So good job, MasterCard. Yan. So, dun sa example sa left, di ba parang ang init or init na init and also on the example on the right. Okay. Meanwhile naman, using blue colors naman or cool colors, sorry, cool colors, ano yung nafe-feel natin, di ba? Ito, favorite, yung poster on the right is one of my favorite anime movies, yan. And favorite din na director, si Makoto Shinkai. If you guys know this, mag-heart reacts kayo. Ito ay Weathering with You. Weathering with You. So, dun sa mga hindi pa nakapanood ng Weathering with You, I highly recommend it. But mas hinirecommend ko yung ano nga yun? I don't remember the other one. But it's by Makoto Shinkai as well. Ang naalala kong sabihin is Call Me By Your Name ni Achiman, but that's different pala. Sige, mamaya matatandaan ko din to. Okay, but back to our subject at hand, when we Si cool colors naman, ano yung nafe-feel natin? So, mas nafe-feel natin na gentle, cool, calm, serene, di ba? Ganun yung nafe-feel natin. So, in graphic design, if you want to catch your audience attention immediately, something is urgent, you want to give people warning na may threat, ganyan, we should use warm colors. But on the other hand, if yung design naman natin is calming or it's a good news, something like that, then it's better to use cool colors sana to establish uh, calmness sa mga audience natin. Ayun, naalala ko na kung ano yung name nung movie. It's called Kimi no Nawa or Kimi no Namaewa, I think. Something like that. Yan. So tama ka, Gemma Rose Deiro, na yung color ng cool colors ay very relaxing. Yan. Pero hindi naman ibig sabihin na warm and cool colors, yun na yung gagamitin natin solely. Kasi we have also what we call color combination. So ano nga ba yung mga color combinations na pwede natin gamitin? Ito madaming unaware pa kung ano yung mga color combinations na kailangan natin gamitin. Here, I will tell you what kind of color combinations that you can use. Kunyari, kung dalawa lang yan, kung tatlong color yung gusto mo, kung apat na colors yung gusto mo, ano yung mga colors na mag-match together? Okay, so we have 5. The first one is complementary. Yan. When we say complementary or also known as supplementary or contrasting colors, ito yung mga nagsisit directly opposite of each other on the color wheel. So for example, here in my slide, if you can see, merong yellow and merong purple that are directly facing each other. Those colors are complementary. So for example, in here, ang ginamit niyang colors are orange and blue. Which, kapag babalikan natin yung color wheel, tignan nga natin kung complementary siya. Orange, sorry. I clicked my mouse. Orange and blue. So, tama yung ginamit niya na complementary colors. Hindi siya gumamit ng, let's say, for example, blue and purple. Kasi those colors will fight each other. Okay? So, it's better for you to use complementary para ma-isolate yung color ng isa sa isang color. Sometimes, in a complementary setup, yung strong color, minumute siya ng another toned down color. So for example, dito sa shade ng warm color, yung pinaka hot sa mata is red, di ba? So if you can see naman on the full colors, yung complementary color niya is a color that will neutralize red. Ito yung pinaka masarap tignan sa mata, so which is green, di ba? So when we go outside, makakita tayo ng farm or ng puno, ng dahon, marerelax agad tayo. And that, maybe, I don't know, pero baka yun yung psychology behind it, to balance things out. Right. Yan. So, pop quiz, what is the complementary color of green? Nasabi ko na kung ano yung complementary color of green. So, let's proceed. It's red. Yan. This one naman is triad. So for the triad naman, if you're gonna use 3 colors to design, we use the triad. So 3 colors siya that are equidistant from each other on the color wheel. So you just use an isosceles triangle. Nax, isosceles triangle. 99 ako sa geometry dati. Hello, Sir Quinones. The joke lang. So we use an isosceles triangle para ma-pinpoint natin what kind of colors are we gonna use for this kind of color combination. Ayan. Hindi na natin isa-spell kung ano yung isosceles triangle. Ano? Sabihin na lang natin triangle. Huwag na natin i-spell yun. Okay, so for example, this one. The colors that were used are, we have purple, and then we have something yellow-orange, and then we also have light blue or bluish green. So balikan natin yung color wheel kanina. Okay. Ayan. So tignan natin kung tama yung ginamit niya. So red, purple, check. Blue, green, check. And yellow, orange, check. So kung makikita natin yung example kanina, very harmonized, di ba? Yung colors together. So good color combination, yung triad. Alright, the next one is analogous. So for the analogous, ito naman, 2 to 5 color siya na equidistant from each other on the color wheel. I mean adjacent pala. Sorry. Mali yung equidistant. Adjacent. Okay? So, kung example dito sa color wheel natin, we have yellow, orange, all the way to blue, green. So, for example, ito, makikita natin na merong yellow, orange dito. And also, makikita natin may dinadaanan yung blue and yung green. So, if we go back, so, tama siya. Tama yung ginamit ng color combination. From yellow-orange to yellow-green to green to blue-green. So, pwede din yung kabila naman. From orange to red-orange, red to red-purple to purple. Or kung ano man yung makita nyo sa color wheel. Okay? Okay. Next one naman is split complementary. So when we say split complementary naman, we take one primary color. So for example here, yung primary color natin is red, purple. And then what we do is, di ba sa complementary, it's directly opposite. So sa split complementary is we take one primary color and then for the secondary color, hindi yun yung kukunin natin but those adjacent to it. So for example, yung complementary color ng red, purple is yellow, green. So hindi yun yung gagamitin natin but those adjacent to it, which are yellow and green. Okay, so for example, this one, di ba gumamit siya ng purple, and then those adjacent to it are yellow and green. Okay, square. Ay, ito, hindi tama yung nasa color wheel, but when we say square, it is the combination of 4 colors that are equidistant from each other on the color circle. So when we say square, ignore nyo na lang tong color wheel na nakikita nyo sa PowerPoint. Pero just make an equidistant shape of square. And then, yun yung gagamitin natin. So for example, red, orange, and then the next one is blue, purple, and then the next one is green, and then the next one is yellow. So yun yung mga color combinations na pwede for your square. Okay, so for example, ito, gumamit siya ng 4 colors and it used also square, color combination type. Okay, so we're down to our last one, which is texture. So when we say texture, it refers to the surface quality na both simulated and actual of an artwork. Kasi in graphic design, it's not always digital. Sometimes it is rendered physically. So for example, billboards, brochures, flyers, reports, mga ganyan. So yung texture, it's not only what we see or those simulated, but it's also those that we can touch, okay? So there are different types of texture in graphic design. So there is the first one, ano kaya yung texture na napipil natin dito kapag nakikita natin to? Yung texture na nakikita natin ay magaspang siya, di ba? Parang liha. So this one is rough. And then the next one naman is something woody, pero furnished wood siya. Maganda yung finish. And kapag inapakan natin or nag-slide tayo, itong texture nito ay very smooth. Ayan. For the third one naman, it is silky. And then the fourth one is shiny. And then the last one is very furry. So kapag nakita natin siya, kapag ginawa natin parang pet natin, ano, mga aso or pusa, very furry, nice texture. Okay, next. Uh, we have two types of texture. We have visual and we have actual. So as I previously mentioned, visual is what we see on the screen or kapag rendered na siya or printed na siya. So yun yung na-create niya na simulation. It's on the visual side. But on the other hand, actual, so for example, book covers, ito, may example tayo ng mga book covers dito. This one, yung nakikita ninyo na yan, visual pa rin yan. Very simulated pa rin yan. Pero if you get a book, for example, if you get a book na ito, nakahawakan ko talaga. This one is Crazy Rich Asians given to me by my friend. Yan, mahilig ako magbasa ng libro. So sana mahilig din kayo lahat magbasa ng libro. If may libro kayo na hindi nyo na ginagamit, baka naman bigyan nyo na lang sa akin. Donate na lang sa LB Commons. The joke lang. So kapag hinawakan nyo yung libro, ito, parang nafe-feel ko embossed yung text. So yun yung actual texture na sinasabi natin. Okay? Yan. So for example, sa visual naman, ay very rusty yung nasa left side. So yung texture niya is very rusty and rough. On the other side, anong texture kaya yung ginamit dito? Parang itsurang papel. Tama? Parang itsurang papel. So going on, next naman is yung actual. So ito yung examples ng actual, no? So kaya tayo may shiny kanina. We can render it visually or via digital simulation. Pero pwede rin naman na kapag ni-render natin siya physically, yung quality ng paper na ginamit natin, for example, sa calling card, ay shiny. Or, on the other hand, something textured na carton or box. Ganyan. Okay. Another pop quiz. Here, ano lang to, recap lang to. What is the third element of design na diniscuss natin? Ayan. So, tingnan natin kung sino yung mga nakikinig talaga at sino yung mga nakatitig lang talaga. Okay? So, tingnan natin ano po yung mga sagot ninyo. Sige, I'll give you a clue. Meron tayong diniscuss natin is form, merong lines, merong color, merong shape, ano pa, merong space, and merong yung kaka-discuss lang natin, texture. Okay? So the third one discussed was, ayan, nice try, Ria Busa. It's not texture. Okay. Ang tamang sagot ay tama si Zaidin. Hi Zaidin, tama ka. Ang tamang sagot ay form. Okay. Let's now go to principles of graphic design. Here, I'm going to discuss techniques and principles in graphic design that will make our design more pleasing and more effective in translating our ideas or message to our audience. Okay? Ito, balikan ko lang yung slide na to. Yung principles of graphic design, 5 yan. And yung mga principles of graphic design ay mamimension natin or ma-identify natin using the first letters or the letters pala of this object. So ano ba tong object na to? Okay. Cube yan, di ba? It's a Rubik's Cube, but it's not Rubik's, but it's the cube word that we're going to use. And i-multiply na lang natin siya para maging cube. So it's yung principles of graphic design, sometimes it's called the cubes of design. Okay. All right. So for the first one, since cubes of design siya, so we start with C, and then the next one is U, B, E, and S. So for the first one, ito. Let's see ano yung guess ninyo kung ano yung first principle of graphic design. All right. Any guesses? It starts with the letter C. Alright, nakakatuwa naman yung mga sumasagot. Colort? Colorete? Ayan, so ang tamang sagot ay tama si Liron or Lyron as can. The first one is contrast. Okay. So when we say contrast, it is the arrangement of opposite elements in a piece to create visual interest. So we can achieve contrast in different ways. So we have first one is color by color. Ayan. So for the color, we don't use or we don't tama naman. We don't use strong colors with strong colors. So what we do to make a contrast is use strong colors with toned down color. So for example, here on the left, di ba parang ang hapdi niya sa mata, parang mahapdi siya sa mata. But on the right, very balanced yung colors. So here, gumamit siya ng anong klaseng color combination? Sige nga, kung nakikinig kayo. Gumamit lang siya ng dalawang colors. So, ang ginamit niya ay complementary colors. Very good. Okay, so for example, this one, ayun pala, sa complementary colors din pala, we can use any color or hue and partner it with something very monotonous. So, monochromatic pala. Sorry, hindi monotonous. Monochromatic. So, for example, is white, gray, black, yung mga ganong colors, muted colors. So, any color plus a muted color is always a good one. Yeah. Second one naman is contrast of size. So, paano yung size? The bigger the size, the better for those na important yung information or yung idea na kino-convey natin. So, again, bigger elements attracts the eye. So, for example here, gumamit ako ng, alin yung element dito na pinakamalaki? Sige nga. Aside from the negative space, which is the white one. So, alin dito yung malaki ang element? Okay? So, ang sagot dito ay the photo. Okay? So, I made this photo bigger than the rest kasi I want to make it very relevant na gumamit ng alcohol and it gives the idea na the message is about hygiene. Okay? And then the second one naman is the logo. So, where it came from, the message where it came from. Ganun. Ayan. So, in comparison lang, no, it's also different if we use the same font size. Di ba sabi nga natin, yung mas malalaking elements, ibig sabihin mas importante sila. So on this one, parang ang alam lang natin ay yung image importante and the logo is important, but the text itself, parang alin dito yung important. So it's good to enlarge those na important. So for example, yung title ng presentation is to build trust with our consumers. And that's really the message of the presentation. So what I did was to enlarge the size of the font. Okay. Next one is contrast in shape. So for example, kapag gumamit tayo ng unusual shapes to break the monotony of the design. So for example, ito, gumamit tayo ng circles on the left, gumamit tayo ng circles, gumamit tayo ng squares, and different colors of circles din. But to break it, pinilap ko ng photo yung space or shape na parang combination of square and circle, which is unusual to the design. And then on the second one naman, we have circles na filled up by pictures. Pero makikita natin na I was able to isolate yung speaker or yung special guest kasi I used a different shape. Okay? The next one, excuse me. So this one naman is from Canva. So kung nakita natin dito, gumamit siya ng squares and rectangles. And then to isolate the image or to give importance to the image, gumamit siya ng something na organic or free form. Yeah. Last one is contrast in typeface. Okay? Yung typeface is the font pala. Hindi pala. Typeface and font are different pero they can be interchangeably used. Pero I'll discuss on it more later. So here, may kita natin na yung font, there is a difference in font color. So procedures for what? Self-quarantine. So may contrast dun sa text through color. And then dun din sa size nung text, may kita natin na yung stay at home, wash your hands, check your temperature, mas mas malaki siya as compared to the texts below. Alright? Ayan, another example. Using a different typeface than yung caption na nasa ibaba na for the adventurous soul. So it also is a contrast. And also this. This one is colored then. Okay. Let's now go to fonts and typefaces. When we say typeface, it is the set of the same fonts. So for example, nitong mga typefaces na to ay Arial, Helvetica, Barlow, Comic Sans, mga ganon. But when we say font naman, it refers to the weight and specific style of the typeface. So for example, gumamit ako ng Arial na typeface. Ang font na gagamitin ko specifically dun sa Arial typeface is Arial Bold. So yun yung tinatawag natin na font. And then we have different types of typefaces. The first one is serif. So literally, yung parang kuwit na nakikita natin sa letters, yun yung tinatawag na serif. And then sans serif, sans directly translates to no or none. So meaning no serif. So tinanggal yung mga kuwit. On the script naman, it's more flowy and very continuous and parang cursive. Yun. And yung next naman is decorative. So ito mga decorative, very stylish, very modern, gano'n. Okay. So now we go to font combinations naman. If previously we had color combinations na very balanced tignan, ngayon tignan naman natin kung ano yung mga font combinations na maganda gamitin para very balanced din yung magiging itsura ng ating designs. So, the first one is the use of serif plus sans serif. So for example, dito makikita natin na if meron tayong header or title, it's better to use a different font or typeface for the header and a different typeface for the body. So we don't just use Helvetica for both the header and the body, but we can use a sans serif typeface like Helvetica and also a serif typeface like Georgia. Okay, next naman is script plus sans serif. Since yung script very continuous and flowy, so wala siyang puwet pero may mga excessive flicks siya sa writing. So kapag nag-mix ka ng script plus serif, medyo magulo siya tignan. So for it to be more simple, kasi medyo complicated yung script di ba? For it to be more simple, dapat sans serif yung ipopartner natin sa script. And then the next one is ito naman, using the same classification of typeface. This one is not advisable. Like for example, Chunk 5 and Argo, both are serif fonts. So kung makikita natin, may mga puwit sila pareho. So sana hindi natin yon gagamitin because as I said before, meron namang mga nag-create ng good balance and harmony sa mga text, which is serif plus sans serif. So for example, Chunk 5 is serif and Leto font is, or typeface is sans serif. Okay? And then, not just sa style ng typefaces, tayo pwedeng mag-create ng contrast. So for example, we can also do contrast in font weights. Ito, okay lang gumamit ng same font or typeface given na iibahin mo yung style nung nasa header or nung font nung nasa header. So for example, hindi ako gagamit ng regular for both header and both body. So nilakihan ko man, if you look at the photo on the left side, if lakihan ko man yung size ng roboto or nung header, but I'm still use regular as like the same as dun sa body, it doesn't make much of a difference. Kahit na siguro font size 30 ito and then yung body is font size 20. As compared to something like Roboto Black. If I use Roboto Black and then I use Roboto Light for body, grabe yung contrast. Mas balanced siya tignan. Okay. Ito, maraming guilty dito. So, sana, when we use fonts, we limit it to 2 to 3. Ako siguro maximum ko na talaga yung 3. Minsan nga ang hirap pang mag-incorporate ng another font kasi usually 2 lang yung ginagamit ko eh. Kapag 3 siguro, super daming information na yon and I use it to isolate an idea lang talaga. Kasi marami namang ways to isolate an idea eh. Like, pwede akong gumamit ng different font, different size, different color. So pwede ako mag-stick sa 2 fonts lang talaga. So hopefully, you guys can limit it to 2 to 3 fonts only. Using beyond that, I won't recommend. It's not very advisable. Malilito yung mga audience no na anong information na to? Is this still part of the same design? Mga ganon. So for coherence sake, use 2 to 3 fonts only. Okay? Ayan. The second one naman is, ano kaya tong second principle natin? Sige nga, any guesses? U, I, Y. Ano ang inyong guess? Okay. Tama si Charlotte CJ Tan or Charlotte. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry, but I hope I'm right. Char. Charlotte. Charlotte CJ Tan. And also si Josh. Tama. Unity. Yan. When we say unity naman, it is a sense of oneness, okay? Or coherence to a visual image. And it creates harmony in your design. So how do we achieve unity? We achieve it through, number 1, proximity of elements. So for example, in this design that I did for chapters, makikita natin na yung logos, they are grouped together. Diba? In terms of proximity, mas malalapit yung logos together, which signifies, and it is very organized, no? Which signifies na these things na clumped together are probably the same elements in the design. So tama naman yun na I grouped it together because they are the same elements which are logos of other companies. So if you notice, hindi naman ako naglagay ng logo na nasa lower right or nasa lower left. It's better if we group them together. Okay. And on the next one naman, may kita natin dun sa skills and interests, di ba? Very grouped together or close together yung mga elements na either the same or closely related to each other. Okay. And then we can also achieve unity using pattern. So for example, here, there is a pattern in the element used, specifically the profile of a person. Ayan, di ba? It gives us the idea na doon pa rin tayo sa design na coherent. Okay? So, kung makikita or mapapansin din ninyo, yung pattern na ginamit niya didn't use another kind of illustration. It's still the same kind of illustration, no? So, it created unity. And then, eto naman, there's a pattern on the figure of a fish or a whale or a shark, I don't know. but it gave also it looks very coherent in the eyes. And then this one, use of ano naman, the same shapes as well. Okay? And last one, for you to achieve unity, especially with texts, is through alignment. Okay? So for example, ito, for the title, centered siya. Diba? Yung mga aligned types of alignment naman natin, aligned center, aligned right, justify, center, mga ganon. Or something that can fill up a space or a shape. So for example, circle, diba? May mga design tayo nakikita, especially in magazines or creative journals. Kapag may shape na or may fonts na nag-fill up ng shape, na nag-create ng circle or ng square or ng triangle, pwede din yon. As long as may unity dun sa alignment mo. So for example, here in my design, aligned left, yung mga descriptions and other captions, subheaders, pero yung nasa iba, depende dun sa section, yung iba aligned right na. And then this one naman sa magazines, alignment also gives you the sense of continuity. So for example, nasa yung nandito sa may, sorry, hindi ko mabasa. Pero yung text sa ilalim, dun sa body, aligned left sila lahat. It means, or it gives you the impression na yung mga kasunod na text, part pa rin siya nung passage na nababasa mo or dun sa body. Okay, next one naman is, ano kaya tong next? T-A blank 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 C-E. This one is, any good guesses? Okay, may nakikita na ako mga tamang sagot. Okay, the right answer is balance. When we say balance naman, there are two types of balance. So we have symmetric and also asymmetric. So kapag symmetric, achieved siya when the elements equally reflect or mirrors the other half. On the other hand naman, asymmetric balance is when two sides are not mirrored. So opposite lang. So let's say for example, this one. Ayan. This one is a design from my organization, the UP Photographer Society. Gumawa kami ng orientation, PubMat. This one is, ano kaya to? Symmetric, asymmetric. So if you cut it into half, let's say horizontally, do we have balanced show of elements? I would say yes, no? We have text on the upper right, we have text on the lower left, and then we have equal images or equal images doon sa gitna. So if you cut it into half, more or less, it will siguro mga 90%, it reflects or mirrors the other half. So this one naman is the same. This one I did back after graduating sa college. Grabe, mahal na mahal yung college ko. Gumawa ng PubMat for CDC. But here, gumamit ako ng different elements to describe what our college or course does. So, kahit na hindi siya perfectly mirroring, pero yung placement of elements, if I cut into half, it will be still symmetric. Okay? As compared to this one, if I cut this one into half, yung isa, mawawala ng image na ginamit. Okay? Magiging puro text na lang siya. But this one is still balanced kasi na-even out ko yung information. I used a big image or picture on the top part and then gumamit na ako ng pure text sa lower part. So it's still balanced. And then this one then. Okay. So next one. Correction pala dun sa pop quizzes. Nakalagay pala dyan is name the 7 principles of graphic design, but 5 lang pala dapat yan. Okay? Okay, so for this one naman is emphasis. Okay? So ito, may word lang tayo na quote here, emphasize what is important. Okay? So in emphasis naman, it creates a focal point in a design to draw the viewer's attention to a specific design element. So how do we achieve emphasis? We use unusual elements, unusual colors, unusual shapes that will break the monotony of our design. So here, for example, to create emphasis, gumamit siya ng color na red, which is very bold and striking. And gumamit siya, instead of the letter O, gumamit siya ng paint splat or, I don't know, blood splat to signify something and strengthen our message visually. Next naman is yung sa Coke, gumamit siya ng pattern to emphasize and also create an illusion of a smile. And also gumamit din siya ng red background. Okay. This one naman, these created emphasis through bigger text and bolder font colors. Okay. And then on the other one, the interstellar, gumamit siya or brinake niya yung pattern ng mga rice, I don't know if siguro rice pals, wheat yata to or corn. I think this is wheat. Okay. So from the pattern of the wheats, brinake niya yon using another icon, which is the airplane. Okay. Ito. Now we're down to our last principle of graphic design, which is, ano kaya to? S blank city. Anong guess natin dyan? Okay. So our last principle is, tama kayo, simplicity. Yeah, right. Okay, so tama si Grace and Biblanias. Okay? So for the simplicity naman, in a shell, when you say simplicity, it's just getting your message across without any clutter or just using yung essential ideas, yung essential elements sa design natin. Kasi sometimes when we design, we think na kailangan magarbo yung design para maintindihan ka ng mga tao. But sometimes using just fonts and wisely, creatively using fonts, no images at all, we can still communicate our message across. Okay? So what does simplicity should do in your visual design? It should remove unnecessary elements or information. And then when we think of simplicity, you should also reduce the text by thinking visual. Kasi when we do graphic design, ayaw natin na i-bombard or information overload yung mga tao. Kasi people don't have time really to read all of those texts. So rather than reading, why not convert it into something visual? Di ba? Kaya nga may mga nauso na infographics, mga ganon, graphs, bars, and other visual elements na pwedeng makatulong to better uh, convey our message to the public audience. Okay? And then, it is also used to organize your elements para malinis tignan yung design natin. And lastly, focus on the idea or message. So wala nang clutter sa design natin. Go straight to your message. Okay. So here, I also put here na simplicity can also be achieved by using the negative space wisely because space, it helps the eyes to breathe. Okay? Ayaw naman natin makakita na clumped yung elements natin, di ba? Okay, so for example, here, marami siyang ginamit na negative space and the negative space was used very wisely. Siguro kung titingnan ko tong image na to, the guy was very affectionate for someone, but that someone either left him or died. So yun yung message na nakuha ko dito. And if that was the message really of the poster, then the poster is effective in conveying that message. And then the next one naman is, ito, very simple and direct lang din, yung Marilyn. So, di ba, yung poster na, Marilyn was known for her beauty mark and also red lips. Okay, so in simplicity, what does this mean? What is the meaning of this kaya? Okay. All right. So from the words of Cyril de la Fuente, sabi niya, yung mga minimalist, yun na yung uso ngayon. And the simpler, the better. So here, tama kayo na ang meaning nito ay less is more or simpler, the better. Okay, so for example, ito, I told you before na you can get your message across using just fonts. Sometimes, kung hindi naman kailangan ng visual aids, hindi na kailangan. Just use fonts. So here, gumamit lang siya ng red color to signify the color of Canada and use a bigger font for Canada and use small fonts na for the body. And then this one naman, paano siya naging simple? So to match yung background, gumamit na lang siya ng silhouette, di ba? And it said, the first man. Ano kaya yung bilog na nasa gitna? Probably, bintana ng ano niya, nung sasakyan niya, or could also be the moon. Okay, another example is this one. So, through negative space, may malaking negative space in between the characters, and then may nakalagay na 1 meter. Ano kaya yung message na gusto niyang i-convey dun sa audience? If we don't have the title na social distancing, I would still get na yung message nitong poster na to is physical distancing or social distancing. And then this one, gumamit naman siya ng mga plastic bottles or plastic objects to create a shape of a marine life or a dolphin specifically. Okay? So very wise yung paggamit niya ng principle of simplicity. Then lastly, there's no better way for you to convey your message than to be straight to the point. Okay? Okay, now we go to the rules of composition. And mabilis na lang to. Kasi yung sa rules of composition, if you do not know the rules, how are you gonna break the rules and make your own rule, di ba? So, ito, pasadahan na lang natin to. According to Canva, you could have the most beautiful graphic elements in the world. But if your composition isn't up to scratch, all of that goes out the window. So dapat sa atin, it doesn't matter if super ganda ng photo mo, super ganda ng font mo, but if your composition isn't up to scratch, wala din. Hindi rin siya harmonious and balanced, wala rin. Okay? As I said before in my definition of graphic design, the most important thing that your design should have is effective or effectiveness pala. Okay? So for the first rule is find your focus. So for example, ito, ano yung focus nitong poster na ito and how was it achieved? It was achieved through lines and color. So kung makita natin sa pinakagitna, the lines of the mountains, it all led to the middle na kung nasaan talaga yung main subject. And also, makita natin na puti yung background ng subject as compared to yung blue na nasa taas and yung warm color na nasa baba. Okay? Ito naman, It's also the same. Focus was achieved through color naman. So, from the red background to the black subject natin. Next one is to use the leading lines. So may example na tayo kanina ng leading lines, but I will also put here some examples because lines, what it does is it directs the eyes of the viewers to what really is important in your design. So for example here, may lines going to ito. Ma-attract ka muna sa color na yellow, di ba? Because color yellow is a warm color and the characteristic of warm colors is it's strong, bold, and striking. So, ma-attract ka muna sa color yellow. And then, it will go down to the white. Kasi, bakit nagli-leak yung color niya? Or may nagli-leak na color white na parang nilalighten niya yung something, which is the pen. And then the pen is pointing upwards, which leads to the caption or the title, which is shut out where are all the working class writers. So very maganda yung pag-direct niya ng mata ng tao. Diba? Starting from the pen, uh, going down to the light, and then up to the pen, pointing upwards, where the title is. Okay. Another example is this one. This one is called the line of sight. So if you use a person, we can use the eyes or where the person is facing to direct the eyes of the viewer. So for example, in this example, yung lalaki nakatingin siya to his left and pointing to his left where the logo is, di ba? Okay. And then the third one is scale and hierarchy. As I said before, yung contrast natin sa fonts, it could be achieved through what? Color, size, and typeface. Okay? So dito, parang uulitin ko lang din na yung scale and hierarchy are important in improving your design kasi it separates which ideas are more important and which ideas are less important. So for example, may hierarchy tayo dito na yung mas malaking font, those are the headline. Sub-headlines naman yung second na malaki and then the text is yung content na. Okay. Number 4 is match your elements. Ito, I think dito nahihirapan yung mga tao to figure out what is wrong with my design. So what's wrong with your design really is you are not matching your elements, especially if marami kayong elements na ginagamit. So for example, in here, gumamit siya ng same shapes that is filled up by the pictures, no? So lahat ng yan triangle. But not only that, hindi siya gumamit ng picture na may colors. So what the artist did was to match this image with this image and all of the images by using just black and white. Okay? So mas nagmukhang coherent yung design natin. On the right photo naman, gumamit siya ng colored pictures in a square or rectangle shape. Pero what made this match is the kind of photos na ginamit na very rustic, dark, di ba? And kind of has the same vibe and feel to it. Okay? Okay, so this one, a design I made for chapters. So gumamit ako ng same font for the headlines, same filter for the photos at the back. Yon. And then also, if you can see these icons, makikita ninyo na yung icons na ginamit ko ay the same as well or have the same style. The number 5 is contrast of ideas. Kanina sa principles of design, we have contrast, diba, dun sa cubes. Now we have contrast of ideas naman. Kasi you can also achieve contrast not just by playing with your elements, but also with your message. So for example, this one, if our message is individuality, how are you going to convey that through visual means? So there's no better way, I think, for you to convey individuality than to make something or that sole object unique and different from the other objects. So for example, this one, uh, my pencil tips and then my pencil dot. So among the pencils, nag-stand out yung butt ng pencil. Okay? Okay, ito naman, rule of thirds, also applicable in photography. Now, rule of thirds is, baka nagtataka kayo, saan ko dapat nilalagay yung mga elements na important? So here I'm going to answer, it is in the intersections of the rule of thirds. So when you cut your image into 9, so may mga intersections yon. This part, this part, this part, and this part. So kapag nag-intersect na yon, yung object na yun, ibig sabihin, doon yung pinaka-important and pinaka-magandang place for your element. Okay? Ayan. So makikita natin doon sa second example, yung point ng upper right, nandun yung object natin. Okay? Ayan. Now we're at the end of our lecture. So here I'm just gonna give some of my personal tips when actually doing the design. So first is to conceptualize before you start designing. Di ba sabi nung AIGA, American Institute of Graphic Arts, yung definition nila of graphic design was the art and practice of planning and projecting your message. So the keyword there was planning, okay? So hindi magiging sabog, parang magiging sabog yung design mo kung hindi mo siya pagpaplanuhan or isa-sketch man lang muna. Kasi hindi mo makikita kung if you plan where your elements will go, then it will be easier for you to actually do the design and create the design. Okay? Number 2 is to always save your design. Guilty ako dito kasi sometimes kapag nasa Photoshop ako or any software that I use for designing, na engrossed ako masyado sa design and then I forget to save. And then kapag nagkaroon ng power interruption or accidentally ma-quit ko yung software, then wala na. Back to scratch ako. Tabula rasa. So, save, save, save. Okay? And number 3 is, it's okay to get inspirations from other artists. Kasi lahat naman ganun na nagsisimula eh. Okay? But please do not plagiarize. You can get inspirations from websites such as Pinterest or designinspiration.net. You can check those websites. Okay? And the number 4 is to proofread your work. This is basic. This is very basic. I think before you publish or post something, you should check first kung may wrong spelling ba, wrong grammar ba, ganun. Double check lang natin every now and then, okay? And the number 5 is to pre-test your design to other people. If you are not confident enough with your design, well, we can ask help from our friends or from our colleagues na, hey, can you criticize or give your comments or opinion on my design and let me know if I was able to get the message across clearly. Okay, and clearly and effectively, okay? Okay, number 6 naman is message is king, okay? If hindi kailangan ng visual as I mentioned before, simplihan lang natin. Kung hindi kailangan ng visual, don't use visual, just use text. Kasi message is king pa rin naman. Don't be engulfed too much on the idea of using very sophisticated elements, mga ganon. It doesn't do you good unless the visual accentuates your message, okay? And then number 7 is, well, now that you know the rules of composition, now you can bend the rules or break the rules. Kasi to each his own. As an, di ba yung what separates art from science is that art is, you have the freedom to do anything that you want. There's freedom in art and also uh, hindi natin hindi natin pwedeng ma-expect kung ano yung magiging kinalabasan ng design natin when we do it. Unlike sa science na something, kapag merong tayong ginawa, meron na tayong hypothesis or expected results talaga. So, is natin yung opportunity to bend the rules and see what we come up with if it's effective or not. It's a learning process naman. Okay? So for Before I end this lecture, I just want to leave you with a message, no? Okay. So, eto. I was oftenly asked before by my friends na, why are you so creative? Uh, Paano ka naging creative na ganyan? Or like, you were born creative kasi, you have the brain for it, you were, uh, ano ba, trained to do it, ganyan. No. To be honest, hindi naman din ako creative dati. Hindi ko lang din alam yung foundations ng what is the foundations of designing, graphic design, art, mga ganyan. Since I don't know the foundation, hindi rin ako makagawa ng mga magagandang designs. But when I learned about the foundations of graphic design, then I was able to create something more visually appealing to the audience. Okay? So once I was in your shoes before, so na-intimidate din ako sa mga magagaling na artist dati. I felt like napag-iiwanan na ako, mga ganon. But it's a learning process. It's normal to feel insecure with your design. Pero as I said before, it's a learning process. And uh, you won't really become a creative person if you do not, ayan, ano yung nakalagay dyan? If you do not create. If you do not Eve. Hindi yung Ivy yung ina-isolate ko dyan. Ha? Yung ina-isolate ko dito is create. Okay? If you do not create or start creating something, then how are you going to improve your skills in design? Okay? So here's my parting words. Uh, for you to be creative, you must first create. Okay? So to everyone who attended, I hope that you do not stop learning and I hope that you do not stop creating kasi the first action that you have to do for you to be creative is for you to create talaga. Okay? So never stop learning, never stop creating. Okay? So here's the end of my lecture na. By the words of Mary Lou Cook, creativity is inventing, experimenting, growing, taking risks, and breaking rules, making mistakes, and also don't forget to have fun. Okay? So that's the end of my webinar. And thank you so much for listening to my webinar. I hope you guys were able to learn a lot from my webinar today.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Hill, for sharing with us your expertise, your passion, and your skills. So guys, kayo, ano yung mga major takeaways niyo from our session with Sir Hill? Ako, ever since nakasama ko siya sa work, siya yung inspiration ko sa less is more, minimalism. At talagang makikita mo yan sa workplace niya, sa work ethics niya, especially decluttering. Kapag nakikita ko napakalinis ng table ni Kid, nahihiya talaga ako. Sabi ko, babae ba talaga ako? So napipilitan talaga ako na declutter yung mga bagay na hindi dapat kailangan. Yan. Sa kanya ko talaga yan natutunan. And whenever I create a design, especially nung pumunta na siya sa chapters, may times na nagpapatingin pa rin ako, sabi niya, di ba, you have to pre-test your design. Hindi ako sure sa design ko. So, I get his opinion. Kid, pwede na ba to? Hill, okay ba tong ginawa ko? Tapos sabihin niya, ate, medyo ganito. Okay naman, ganyan-ganyan. Alright, so guys, kayo, ano yung, ang dami kasi nating natutunan from, jump pack yung kanyang lecture for the basics of graphic design. Because just like what he said, if you want to be creative, you have to create and you have to know the basics. He was also my inspiration in finishing my course sa Coursera, yung graphic design, basic graphic design. Kasi wala na siya dito sa LRC nung time na yon. And I was forced to do our own publicity materials nung umalis siya. And then later on, andito na si Josh, nakatulong naman namin. Okay, so ayan, napakadami na sinasabi nila ha. Nagpapasalamat sila sa ating FB Live. G daw, thank you for sharing. Thank you, sir. Okay. So if you have, G daw silang lahat. Okay, thank you for really being with us in this session. Medyo nakaka-relax talaga yung session natin for this morning because it's about creating, being creative in the colors, no, na nakikita natin. So, Kid, I mean, Sir Hill, yung ating unang question ay from Kenelyn Corzon. So let's move forward with our question and answer portion, ano. If you have questions, just feel free to leave them sa ating comment section box, and then we'll ask Sir Kid for tips, for us to be more ano tawag dito, mas creative pa sa ating mga graphic design. So first question is from Kenilyn Curzon. Sabi niya, what apps or mobile or PC apps would you recommend for beginners especially?
Okay. So for beginners, I really recommend Canva. Actually, ginagamit ko yung Canva. I'm not a beginner. I would say I'm not a beginner na kasi I'm creating designs for other companies as well na. And what matters naman in a software is dapat user-friendly siya and nandun yung mga basics na elements na kailangan mo. So if you can move things around, change the color of the font, size of the font, yung mga ganon. As long as you can do that, pwede mo siyang gawin doon sa preferred software mo. So for me, I prefer Canva. Also, especially na yung Canva, may mga templates kasi yan eh. So it won't be too hard for you to think of what kind of design, placement of elements I would think about. When you go to their site, meron na silang templates that you can choose from, especially kapag kunyari, if you type, if your design is a PowerPoint design, you can just type in Canva, PowerPoint, and then some PowerPoint templates that you can use for free, or if you subscribe to them, you can use those pro. Meron na agad, napapalitan mo na lang yung information, yung title, yung pictures, and then since it's ready-made, it's good to go. And then also, if you're gonna use naman or design from scratch, and then you want to know what kind of colors you would like to use, or medyo hirap ka pa sa color combinations, I use coolors.co. I will share my screen again and go to the website and show you how the Coolors website works, okay? For a second, guys. Okay, here I'll be sharing my screen again. Okay, so now here I'm in the main page of coolors.co. So here is where I get my color palettes and color combinations. Kapag tinatamad ako tingnan yung color wheel na yan. Kasi who has time to look at the color wheel naman, di ba? And pwede naman siya makita sa internet. So here, it says here the super fast color schemes generator. So what I do is just click generate, and then it will literally generate random colors. Okay? So may prompt lang tayo dito. Let's exit. Tapos, click lang natin yung space button and it will change. Look how magical colors work. Okay? And then meron din siyang mga color codes na nandito and color names sa pwede mo ilagay. And then if you pick one that you really like, so for example, this one, ito toggle lock ko lang to. And then this will stay, okay? And then the rest will change. And then you'll see what colors are good to combine with this color that you want in the first place. Okay? So yun. I'll just stop sharing that.
All right. That's
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
Noted with thanks. Alam na namin kung saan pupunta. So, coolors, right?
Yes,
Coolors.
coolors.co. For the
Okay.
illustrations naman, I get my free illustrations from freepick.com. Yun.
Okay.
Freepick, that's FREE and then PIK.com. So you just have to log in, I think, free naman yun. And then you can search and then there are tons of free stuff there that you can use. Icons, images, and what have you.
Okay, noted with thanks. Alam na din namin. Pero to be honest, yung Canva, parang sapat na siya. 'Di ba? Kasi sobrang dami ng ino-offer ng Canva. Eh. There are templates for PowerPoint, for Facebook post, for Instagram, for Twitter, business cards, whatever. Lahat meron na siya doon sa Canva. Pero siguro kung talagang naghahanap ka pa ng ibang mga images and you cannot see it on Canva, ayun, free pick nga sabi ni Hill. Okay, we have another question here. This one is also an interesting question from Janoa Pasqua. Sabi niya, paano mo ba daw malalaman kung kailangan mong i-justify yung isang text or not?
I think ano yun nasa rule yun ng kung anong kind of publication mo siya gagamitin. Because really, there's no rule to it that you have to use justify, that you have to use align text left. Um, if you're publishing for a magazine na publication, dun ko kasi yung nakikita madalas. So if science journal siya or yeah, yung mga ganun, technical papers, gumagamit talaga sila ng justify. And it depends on the publication house. So kung yun yung format nila, then that's when you use it. Pero ako, um, always ako align text left.
Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Janoa Pasqua. And then we also have another question here from Glad Dominic Bun. I think siguro na-answer na rin to kanina. Sabi niya, I am a nurse by profession and knowing all of those points in doing a graphic design, what application to make something like the presentations once we will be having our own seminar. So he can start with Canva here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Highly recommended talaga Canva. If
Yeah.
not, you can make naman a presentation out of scratch in PowerPoint. Since now that you are knowledgeable about the basics and the foundation, I'm very confident that you guys will be able to create a design from scratch.
Yes. Dati, before I met Kid, parang gumagamit ako ng 5 types of fonts kasi gusto ko iba-iba yung fonts. Tapos sabi niya, 2 to 3 lang. So, ngayon natututo na ako na at least 2 or at least 3 lang. And then, kanina nga nalaman namin na kung serif yung isa, dapat sans serif, no? So, parang hindi parehong serif. Or, yeah, sans serif yung isang headline, tapos yung sa text ay serif. Tama ba ako? Please correct
Yeah,
me if I'm wrong.
interchangeable siya.
Or I can interchange, right? Okay. All right. So another question is ito. Let me check. From Tita Tina Malinaw, sabi niyo, what is the best design po if you have two concepts to communicate?
If you have two concepts to communicate, you mean you have two messages to communicate?
Probably, no? Parang dalawang message siguro.
My tip for you is to create it separately talaga. Don't clump your ideas into one. Pero if hindi talaga sila kayang paghiwalayin, if it's totally different ideas, okay lang sa paghiwalayin. Pero if hindi talaga kayang paghiwalayin, then use the principle of contrast, no?
Mm-hmm.
You can always use the principle of contrast and emphasis. Pero mahirap kasi yun eh. For me, I would really separate it eh. Kasi I don't want to give more than one main information to my audience in one poster. So, nakakagulo kasi yun eh. Unless it's a science poster or a journal publication, then probably nga, madami nga siyang text. It all depends on what kind of design or the purpose of design is. Pero if not, use contrast.
All right. So I hope that answers your questions, Tita Tina. And let me just check. Meron dito from Mugi Woogie. Sabi niya, sa Canva, you can use the premium using your own school email. In fact, ang UP po ay subscribe sa Canva. So you can use your UP email addresses sa ating mga scholars ng bayan na nakikinig. Ano? You can use your UP email to subscribe sa Canva. We are subscribed to Canva until now. So, ginagamit po namin yan sa lahat ng aming mga publicity materials at mga inspirational posts. Okay? Meron tayong question dito. Interesting din yung question niya, Hill. Si Conrado Bulataw Jr. Ano po ang ma-advise nyo sa mga colorblind po? Hirap po ako sa design dahil dyan. Dahil colorblind.
Well, I can't speak from experience kasi I'm not colorblind, first and foremost. May mga colorblind glasses if you really want to correct yung eye vision mo when it comes to picking accurate colors. Pero you have to marami kasing online. There's a documentary I saw na designer siya. Um, Tapos what he does is to get the designs of yung di ba as I said before, you can get inspirations from other artists but do not plagiarize. So one of the things that you can get from other artists is the use of their colors. So meron tayo sa mga either online or sa Photoshop na we use the color dropper tool to pick the kind of color na pwede natin magamit. And you ask your friend if like is this color vibrant enough, cool enough. Tapos, with that, pwede mo na siyang gamitin. And then, really, just by the help of other people na malalaman ba nila kung okay ba yung design mo.
Yeah, or they can use yung colors, no? Kasi coded naman siya.
Yes,
So
the
he
colors
can
are
use the.
coded. So, yun yung use nung color dropper tool na
Mhm.
sinasabi ko.
Yeah. Okay. So I hope that helps. Meron tayong siguro final question ito, no? From Sai. Sai po din. Hi. Thank you for watching. Paano ma-adjust yung color since 'di ba iba-iba yung mga screens and monitors? How would you know if ano ang tama na gagamitin?
Mahirap yan kasi that's very hardware issue na yan eh. Hindi siya sa mata natin. Or well, if you're colorblind, that's one. Pero it's also another yung problem with the hardware of the hardware that we're using. Based from experience, uh, the more that you spend in your hardware, the more accurate the color gets. So for example, mas accurate yung mga colors ng Apple products, high-end Android products or iPad, ganyan. Sila yung mas usually color accurate talaga. Pero um, yun. Kailangan kasi when you see that your white is white, doon mo malalaman kung super accurate siya. So malalaman mo sa TV. So for example, ako, yung computer ko, naka-connect siya sa TV. And then yung TV ko may sarili siyang parang color filter, di ba? So ang gagawin ko is magpo-project ako ng color white sa screen ng TV ko. If it looks something yellowish, then it's not right. It's not the right uh, color balance or color filter, white balance na nasa TV ko. So I have to adjust. So yung uh, color that will balance the color yellow is blue, di ba? Kasi since complementary sila. So what I did is increase the saturation or the color of blue. So after ko mag-increase ng color blue dun sa TV ko, nag-balance siya and nagmukha siyang puti talaga na. So that's what I can suggest to you. Magpakita ka ng puti sa TV mo or sa hardware mo. If it doesn't look right, if it doesn't look the whitest whites of all, then you have to adjust. Yun.
All right. Thank you so much, Hill. There you have it, Mr. Lawrence Hill D. Salgado. Thank you very much for sharing your expertise to us. Now, hashtag Team LRC would like to take this opportunity to thank our speaker for his valuable time. So, to award the certificate of appreciation, may I kindly recognize once again our beloved director, Dr. Benjamina Paula G. Flor. Allow me to just read the citations first. University of the Philippines Los Baños Learning Resource Center present the Certificate of Appreciation to Lawrence Hill D. Salgado for serving as resource speaker in the fourth session on Create and Inspire. Learn the basics of graphic design in the GKPB Online Learning, a webinar series on how to take online learning to the next level, held today, 6 April 21, 6th of April 2021, given the 6th day of April 2021 at the Learning Resource Center, UPLB College Laguna, signed by our director, Benjamina Paula G. Flor.
Thank you so much, Kid, for that very informative and engaging presentation. I think we have all learned a lot from your sharing. You see how powerful graphics are, no? As the importance of knowing and understanding the elements of graphic design for us to be able to communicate effectively. So siguro naman marami tayong napulot kay kids, and we're now able to apply those principles in improving our packaging, no? In improving our messages, what fonts to use, what color combination to use, what tone to use. So ang dami palang rules and principles of research design. Medyo ako nalilito-lito rin kasi hindi naman ako visual com, no? So I'm com broad naman ang aking major. But I think the session was so packed, no? So full that we were able to at least have a crash course, no, on graphic design. Isang semestre po ito kung tutuusin sa College of Development Communication, and we only had it for an hour or so. And so we feel that this intervention would be able to help our students, our teachers, our researchers, and even our administrative personnel in coming up with very attractive and eye-catching PubMats, no? So siguro mas magaganda na yung magiging PubMats natin ngayon with this session. So thank you so much, Kid, for that very inspiring presentation.
Thank you, Ma'am Bench. And once again, thank you, Kid or Hill. Now, for the evaluation of this session, please do not forget to answer the evaluation form after this webinar to receive your e-certificate of participation. Again, your comments and suggestions will be deeply appreciated by our team, hashtag Team LRC. The evaluation link will be sent only to those who successfully registered for the event. Kindly be reminded that the link will be up until 5 p.m. today. And we hope that more than the certificates, we all gained valuable insights from our speaker this morning. Now, for the next session, just a reminder, our fifth session under the Leveling Up Your Design Skills is tomorrow, Wednesday, April 7, 2021. Same time po tayo, 10 a.m. It's our session on Smartphone Photography 101. Learn how to take better pictures using mobile phones. If you haven't registered yet, please do so because the link will be up or will be open. The registration will be open until 5 p.m. this afternoon. Again, it's still open and free for all. Take advantage of all our sessions to level up our online learning experience and to gain new skills as lifelong learners. At this point, we would like to recognize and thank our team, hashtag Team LRC and the hashtag Team LRC, uh, GKPB team, headed by our director, Ma'am Benjay, with our support, of course, from our Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Dr. Jean O. Loyola. And on our technical side is our University Research Associate, Joshua Michael G. Jonas, and our Webinar Production Online Director, Direct Prof. Mark Lester M. Chico. A big shout out as well to hashtag Team LRC's two other members na nanonood din ngayon, si Tita Allen at si Kuya Iwok. Again, hindi man po natin sila kasama dito sa Zoom space. Sama-sama po at tulong-tulong po kami sa lahat ng programang inihahandog po namin sa inyo. A big thank you again to our dear friend Hill, our very passionate and generous speaker for this morning. To end, sometimes all of the things around us are a bit too much. In fact, maybe we could all agree that 2020 and this year 2021 are really rating high in the scale of too muchery. Let me share a poem made by Brad Montague and his children entitled The Brief Guide for Navigating Too Muchery. Some days life can feel challenging. Things come at you in a hurry. Sometimes you must declare it is all too muchery, too much to process, too much to see, too much to handle. When you look at life and too muchery abounds, pause, listen to your breath and the way it sounds. Reach out to people, all the friends that you can think of, because absurd times call for absurd amounts of love. So remember, dear friend, there's no need to worry. Together, we are more than enough for all the too muchery. Well, the world is a weird place at the moment, ano po. So we need to celebrate all the things that could make us feel better or good, and one of them is to be creative. Beyond these times of uncertainties and confusion lies a world of possibilities. Choose to dream, create, and inspire. Happy Tuesday, everyone! Maraming salamat po muli sa inyong pagsama. Kita-kita po tayo bukas. Laban lamang po at kapit lamang po araw-araw. God bless us all and bye, everyone!